we are here with our good friend JOAQUIN of Potatocast fame and glory. We're here to talk about WandaVision, the entirety, all 9 episodes. So before we get into it and introduce ourselves, gotta say, super duper mega the most possible spoilers will happen. So if you haven't seen it, please, dear God, do not listen to this.
Unless you don't care.
Now that we've got that warning out of the way, I'm Jake.
Ian.
I'm Mud.
JOAQUIN.
And all 4 of us are here to talk about this. Now, who wants to start with their overall thoughts going into it?
I will start.
Okay.
So when I saw the first 2 episodes, I was actually very, very excited. I was like, this is something that I was not expecting from Marvel. When they announced Phase 4, we did a video covering the movies, and we explicitly decided to skip the TV shows because we didn't care. And at this point, they've announced even more TV shows.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I'm not interested in almost any of them beyond this one. There's just really nothing grabbing me from these Disney shows that I'm like, oh, I gotta see that. You know, I don't feel the need to go out of my way to watch week to week. Like, I've seen the preview for Loki. I don't really care about an alternate timeline Loki. Falcon and Winter Soldier looks fine. I'll probably watch it all once it's out, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch any of the new episodes.
If I could add to that a little bit, I'm the reverse. This show was the one I was the least interested in going in before I've seen any of it.
I wasn't that interested in a show about Wanda and Vision, and I was confused. I was like, why is Vision going to be in it if they're post-Infinity War, which we'll get to. But then the trailer for it dropped, and it was just so out there, and I was like, okay, this might be worth my time. And I would definitely say it was. From like the first 2 episodes, I was like, all right, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Although I will say the mystery and intrigue that is established by the first 2 episodes, I never felt like we reached that same level throughout the show.
I feel like the first 2 episodes were the best 2 episodes.
I agree with Ian.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Except this one.
Except for the finale.
This had so much fun and payoff. The finale had so much fun and payoff. But the first 2 episodes had something Marvel doesn't do. Once episode 3 hit, 3 through the rest of the show was the same.
I
was
can
the same
agree.
Marvel stuff.
I think actually we can probably all agree that this is probably the most different thing the MCU has ever done.
Oh, yeah.
I would
yes.
argue only in the beginning. I think it devolved. It didn't devolve is a hard word for it, but it went back to Marvel formula.
The last,
first
I
2
would say
episodes.
episodes 6, 7, and 8 definitely where the payoff should have started. Never felt like it was reaching the, in terms of just like feeling. I never felt like the payoff was as good as the setup.
Can I just say that the setup, all of the setups the show has done and all the questions the show purposefully raised, I'd say 80% of them are answered in a satisfying way.
What wasn't answered in satisfying? Just for
Well, I mean, why even? Do you want to just get right into it with our situations here? Because why?
We all have we all have gripes with the show, but we all have different gripes.
Okay, why
Probably,
the
yeah.
fuck would you even cast Evan Peters if you're not going to follow through on that? This is the second time in a row the Marvel Cinematic Universe has cock-teased the multiverse.
I'm sorry, but that's technically resolved.
No, it's resolved in a way that was not the way they
that's
presented
an out
It's
of
the way
universe.
you didn't want to present it.
That's how they presented it.
Yeah, but that was just definitely for fan service. That's all it was.
Yeah, that's fan service, and it's also I was reading up. It's a wink and a nod at characters getting recast and nobody blinking an eye, and I think it's a great recast. Why not go with the guy who is actually Quicksilver? Right. Yeah, it's upsetting that he's not going to be the X-Men Quicksilver, but
I'm just saying it made it seem like they were going that route and then didn't. Is my point. This is the second time they've done that in a row. Far From Home did the same thing
with the
They
multiverse,
were
but not
gonna
really
do the multiverse, and they just
I
didn't.
can't wait for Doctor.
Well, we don't know. Well, that's the thing. We don't know. With Doctor Strange and even Spider-Man coming out, multiverse is
No Way Home. Yeah, I just wanted to say I really hope that in the movie titled Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there's no multiverse. It would
That
be
would be the
so
That
biggest
would be
funny.
the funniest thing.
That would be the biggest bitch
The
slap.
end credit says "Fuck you, Jake."
Fuck you, Jay. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
Benedict Cumberbatch looks directly in the camera and says, "Fuck off, Jacob Kamara."
We're all in one universe.
Yeah.
Haha.
Right to
I
you.
get it. Like, I mean, when he showed up, I was like, oh my god, it's got to be X-Men Quicksilver. But as the show continued on, I was like, it's not X-Men Quicksilver.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that.
No, I knew it wasn't. After like the first 2 or 3 episodes that he was in it, I was like, oh wow, that's very clearly not Evan Peters Quicksilver. There's no fucking way that because the explanation that Agnes gave in episode 8, the second to last one, she was like, yeah, it's fake Pietro. Necromancy was a non-starter. I couldn't go grab your corpse.
So I just grabbed a parallel
Yeah,
universe
so there's
version
no
of your
fucking way
brother.
that going to an alternate timeline is easier than just doing that. So,
Yeah.
but so I knew that immediately, basically. But like it.
See, I'll say this though: they never teased him out as being X-Men's Quicksilver, they were just like, it's Evan Peters who played Quicksilver in an
Mhm.
alternate
Yeah.
universe. The
Yep.
whole, oh my god, is this the X-Men guy? That's fans.
Yeah.
You know, this
I think that was the projection of what we wanted.
That's
more
not the
than
projection. If
show.
they show Evan Peters in the role as a Quicksilver in the MCU,
But it's
you're
more of an-
flat out saying that Evan Peters is Quicksilver in the MCU is by having him on there as Quicksilver in the MCU. So that's not us projecting that we want that. If Evan Peters showed up as some dude not in Quicksilver garb, not doing super speed, and I was like, oh, dude, they should make him Quicksilver. That's projecting as a fan. But they showed him in the garb doing super speed, saying
yeah, it was
Pietro.
it's a reference to him being in the X-Men.
It's all one very large tip of the hat instead
Yeah,
of being
exactly.
anything that matters in the show at all.
So your
it's like,
problem-
why doesn't it matter?
So your only problem was it was a cock tease.
That
Yes.
is a problem with that specific thing. Yeah, it's not my only problem with the whole
No,
thing.
I'm not saying with just that.
Right, you're. Yes, I would say so. Yes.
Okay.
My problem with the show is it's not just Paul Bettany talking to Paul Bettany the whole time.
Uh,
Hilarious.
Every episode's just a new metaphysical philosophy.
Oh,
That was great.
Are you familiar with the grandfather paradox?
Yes,
Naturally.
I could watch Vision talking to Vision for another.
Oh,
30
my
that
God.
that was the best scene throughout the
So
entire
good.
series.
This episode, it was my favorite for starters.
You gotta stop
Episode-
saying this episode.
Well, we just watched the finale.
Yeah, but this isn't a
Episode-
review of the finale. It's a review of the show.
Last episode of the show is so good. There's so much fun and excitement and emotional payoff for Wanda. Not payoff for Wanda. It's sad for Wanda.
Yeah.
But like you get everything that is established in the show for her ends up going away, and that's how it should be. She sacrificed everything. That's the perfect end for the season, and it could be the perfect end for the show if they decide to stop it here.
See,
They will.
I would
Yeah,
agree
I don't
with
think
everything
the
you
show's coming
said,
on.
except I don't think it's my favorite episode. I would probably lean more toward. Ooh, that's actually a tough one. I'm trying to think of.
This one.
Honestly, just for the communist joke, the second episode's my favorite.
I'm sorry,
I have a
but the-
secret as well.
but the
Norm's a
part-
communist.
But the part where Vision fights Vision and then talks to Vision, 10.
That is great. Although if I can get into what I didn't like about the show, Vision's back because he gets all of his original memories.
Yep.
That doesn't bother me.
Yep.
It bothers me because hey, now we've reversed both of the deaths from Infinity War.
What was the
They've
other one?
reversed.
Gamora, because
Yep.
2014 Gamora
Yep.
is around.
I'm
I mean,
pretty sure
yeah.
that every single death pre-snap is back. Is that
Yeah.
wrong?
Loki technically isn't, but
He's
his show
back.
probably
Loki
will
isn't,
bring
but
him
he
back.
is. You know,
He is. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and shits like a that's a fucking Loki right there.
It's
he's
Loki.
back.
It's Loki, but not in the main timeline.
Yeah, but it's
But it's
2012
still
Loki.
Loki.
You know, like it's
Like,
'Cause
they
it's
make
still-
such.
It's not
What,
Gamora, but it's 2014 Gamora.
what
no, but
pisses
the
me
thing with
off-
Loki is he's not in the main timeline.
But what
at least not
pisses
right
me off,
now.
what
Not
pisses
yet,
me off is like
yeah.
the first line in Infinity War is no resurrections this time, except for all of these resurrections.
all of these.
Wait, hold on.
crazy
He
ones.
didn't get resurrected. It's a different.
Yeah.
It's still Loki.
I know, but it's not a resurrection. Vision didn't get resurrected. He got rebuilt
It
and then
doesn't-
transferred.
Shadow should have been way more specific with his wording there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
no,
he needed to do was say no one should ever come back, and then boom.
Well, the whole point of not bringing characters back is that when they die or when they're out of it completely, you feel something.
yeah, there's an
And that's just-
emotional weight to it.
Yeah, now that emotional weight is completely undercut. Why should I care that Vision dies? He'll be back 17 times in WandaVision. Like,
know?
god damn it.
Yeah.
And also on top of that too, like I would even go so far as to say that Black Widow's movie coming out after her death kind of undercuts her death a little bit, even though I know it's a prequel, but it's still it takes
Well, they
away
should
from
have
it.
released it when she was alive.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, they
We've
absolutely
talked
should.
ad nauseum about why
Yep.
there should have been a Black Widow film sooner than there was.
Right, but like my whole point with that, I would regard that in the same regard as Loki coming back and Vision coming back. It's like, why do I care when they die if I'm going to see plenty more?
Why
of
do I
them?
care if Gamora died? I will say the one thing about Gamora, even though she's totally going to be back in Guardians 3, is because that scene where she is seen leaving in Endgame is cut, that technically, might not be canon.
I think James Gunn wrote his script, and they're sticking with the script that he wrote.
Yeah.
They
but
can choose to do whatever they want to, I guess.
I'm
but,
just
like,
saying, we don't know that she's going to be in it yet because they haven't announced an official cast, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's back, it's like, okay, we're 0 for 3 on keeping dead characters from... Oh, no, I'm sorry, we're 1 for 4 because Heimdall's still dead.
Heimdall's still dead. I have a strong feeling he's gonna pop back up at some point.
At this rate,
But
fucking why not?
The only one, like the crown jewel of deaths in the MCU, is Iron Man. They have not touched it.
They won't.
They
It's-
won't.
It's too soon. I feel like they
He's
will.
going to be in Black Widow, but again, prequel.
That's not confirmed.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not confirmed.
I'm pretty sure it's
I'm
confirmed.
gonna look it up. But even if they do that, that's still kind of like, well,
Again,
okay.
it's still cheapening it.
It's still cheapening
It's
it.
like I
completely.
understand that in comics people come back all the time, but this isn't comics. This is
I just really like that whenever a character like has slated for more appearances, when they die, it's like, okay, well, I hope I can get more of him next time. I shouldn't care that much now then.
So
Well,
is that really taking away from those movies, or just the MCU in a whole?
it's just it makes the characters feel invulnerable to a level that makes it hard for us to feel like there's stakes in a fight.
Mm-hmm. Like, why should I care? When
Because
it's
even if
just,
a character dies, it's most likely they're going to come back.
yeah.
Now, what doesn't bother me about Gamora and the human characters bother me. Vision's an AI.
Vision is an AI, but they also strongly establish that like the Mind Stone is a big chunk of his personality.
Yes.
Well, no, because in Infinity War they were trying to take out the Mind Stone.
Yeah, but they had to like very specifically surgically remove it.
But it's not his It's not his personality. It was just his. He wouldn't be able to survive without the Mind Stone.
And they were trying to figure that out.
If he is back, I hope he's not as powerful.
I agree.
I mean,
Like he can
I don't
phase
know.
and he fires the head beam, and it's like, why does he have these abilities?
So
if not the Mind Stone.
He was made with them. He was.
They-
But
they
the Mind
siph-
Stone is still like where his power should come from.
but they siphoned off Wanda's magic, and her magic is powered by the Mind Stone.
I guess,
so
but-
in a way, it is still kind of using.
Still, I'd prefer it to be I'd prefer if they weakened Vision because of it, because he's got a piece of the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
if they weakened him, that'd be fine.
it feels so in on itself. Like you have to understand like every single 17 meta reference to get why that. Can you imagine? Let me paint it differently. Can you imagine explaining to someone who has not seen the MCU what White Vision is, where he came from? Can you just start from
That's
scratch?
what it's called, White Vision.
Yeah,
That's
what-
Jonathan.
Jarvis,
Okay.
and then they brought him to life.
Wait, how did
with
they do that?
Thor's hammer.
How did they bring him to life? What happened?
They
It's
put
weird.
him in a synthetic vibranium body in a tube, and then had Thor shock it.
Thor shock-
Culture, like media and stuff like this, it's evolving to the point where if you're not in the know,
You're not.
You're just confused.
It's like trying to explain Metal Gear Solid to you. I'm
Oh
not gonna
yeah.
be able to
Oh
do it.
no.
It's
if
funny
you
'cause,
don't,
like,
if you can't sit down and sit through like what is it at this point, 13 years of lore,
Mhm.
you're gonna be lost. Honestly, more than 13 years of lore. Actually, no. When was Evan Peters introduced? Like, you have to be
2014.
you have to be familiar with at least one movie outside of the MCU.
On top of that, I'd argue at least like 6 or 7 MCU movies.
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
all the side characters that pop up from their movies,
know.
and it's like, well, do you understand what like?
I
what
think
they're
all you need
going
to do
through?
is watch the Avengers movies.
But at the same
should be-
time,
Because
I-
Civil War. I mean, you kind of need that
yeah,
one
but
too.
that's basically an Avengers movie. So the 3 Avengers movies and Captain America, because those are the ones that have Scarlet Witch in them,
Right.
And Vision.
Right, but there's a lot to do with Maria Rambeau and her arc, and the
Yeah,
Skrull
you'd have to
pops
watch
up-
Captain Marvel for
Captain
that.
Marvel at the
If
end.
you want to know who
plus-
Jimmy Woo is, you got to watch Ant-Man and
Oh,
Wasp.
don't forget Thor: The Dark World,
Oh.
the Kat Dennings baby.
No. I kind of disagree
I'm not
there. You
watching Thor: The
definitely,
Dark World.
definitely don't watch Thor: The Dark World. 1, 2, you don't need to watch all Captain America's
right.
movies,
No, you're
or Captain Marvel, because
I
I didn't even know that was the same kid from Captain Marvel.
I would say
They explain it at the
that's
beginning.
more
Yeah,
I would
later,
say-
but
I would say those movies, like at the very least, the Avengers movies and Captain America: Civil War, those are important to the context of the story. But the
Yeah.
Thor movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Captain Marvel, that's more. I'd dare
That's
say
fan
garnish.
service.
It's like
it's
fills
fan
in-
service.
It's fulfilling if you know who these characters are, but if you don't, that's fine too. It's just okay. Who's this guy? Oh, Jimmy Woo. He works for the FBI. He does magic tricks.
See,
Okay,
but
cool.
I feel like
you
the
just see that as
show-
a cool character quirk to make him stand out, and
Exactly.
not the end of a character arc that was started in a different movie.
Yep.
Right,
Fair,
right.
fair, but I feel like with everything related to Sword and Maria Rambeau and Jimmy Woo and Kat Dennings, I feel like their characters, if you don't have prior experience with any of their movies, this is just some military organization, and I feel like that.
I mean, it is.
But like the investment there is just null, and so when you're watching those scenes, it's just some military. It's like not
Well, we
infinitely,
haven't
infinitely less
seen-
interesting than the other episodes in the show.
But we
where
haven't seen Sword up until this point.
That's
it's
true.
It's Diet Shield. I mean, it's
it
basically
is
the same
Diet
thing.
Shield,
Exact
but
same
I
thing.
mean,
It's
all
attacking
you need to
Shield,
know
yeah.
is it's a military organization.
Yeah.
I don't think you're worse for wear if you haven't seen those movies. And again, this is our first real introduction to Sword. There's hints of it in the end of Far From Home, but this is our first real introduction to Sword, so there's no movie to watch prior for context.
I guess my whole point is that when you keep making everything like
Connected.
a Diet sequel to 17 other things, it makes it very less accessible for other people that aren't necessarily ingrained into the MCU.
I agree.
That's
You're
the
right,
problem
but-
with just having a huge franchise, though.
But at this point, do you want them to hold your hand through everything?
No,
Right.
I'd rather them introduce like new concepts or just stick with Wanda and Vision.
Well,
you don't have to rely on all these like side characters.
Like, think about it. If they made like a Batman television show, like Gotham, for example, Gotham's not tied into anything else. Like,
Yeah.
it's
No, it's
just,
not.
here's Gotham.
yeah,
We have the CW, but here's Gotham.
Yeah.
right. But those
Marvel
characters,
will never do something like that.
no, they never will.
Like
What-
even the Netflix shows, they're like, oh, they're in universe, they're in universe. They fucking weren't, for one.
they,
They aren't.
They aren't.
But they tied them all together. So in order to watch one, you have to watch Iron Fist if you want to watch the characters you like in Defenders. And it's like,
See,
thanks,
I
dickhead.
really don't think that these shows are building to their own just TV shows
No.
crossover. I think it's all built into an Avengers movie, obviously.
No, yeah, they're treating the TV shows just like extended movies.
Right, right. Then back to the show and the quality of the show, though. I think it's really solid.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we've been kind of
yeah.
we have our. This is more just these last few minutes have been more our overall gripes with how
Right.
Marvel is presenting their content.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about why White Vision is basically Vision now, because he has the memories of Vision, has the
He has
body
the
of Vision, has the powers of
He has
Vision.
the vision of
You
Vision.
can say he should be weaker all you want. I think he's fully formed. based
I
on
know
what
that's
we've
what
seen.
bothers me is that
Right.
he's definitely fully formed.
So
and, like,
Vision
you
is-
could do something to make it clear that this.
Right, and I think
isn't
the
fully
show on the whole is saying that Vision is 100% back, which is
Yeah.
really kind of frustrating. And then Monica Rambeau's entire character doesn't really satisfyingly conclude. It's just sequel
Well, it's setting
baiting.
up her arc in Captain
A
Marvel
lot of
2.
one of my biggest problems with the last episode is it doesn't really give any character like a satisfying end
Except
beside
Wanda.
Yep.
aside from Wanda. because
Darcy's in one scene
Exact-
and then just fucks off. And
One
it's like,
line.
you were like such a main support.
one line. I wanted something a little more. Jimmy, why did he even get captured?
Because he was threatening to expose Tyler Hayward
Okay,
for
that-
tampering evidence.
That's a whole nother thing though. Why would Hayward was arrested at the end of the series? Why?
He tampered the video of her breaking in to steal Vision's body.
He didn't. He
No,
just spliced it together.
Yeah, he skipped a couple things.
That's still illegal.
Is it though?
Yes, it portrays because she didn't break in there, steal the
At
body.
the most,
do
okay, at
that,
the
like-
most, it's not evidence for anything because there's no crime involved.
Right.
But it's at most slander.
That being said, he performed that in order to get his own operation up. That's illegal. That's like government laundering.
I
Okay.
would say attempted murder of Monica and
Attempted
yeah.
Wanda attempted murder because that's
Wanda.
painting her as a self-defense
Loads-
target instead of a
murder
murder
loads of
target.
attempted murder
like
here.
there is crime there. That's criminal shit.
As the director of Shield, I don't.
Sword.
I keep calling them Shield. Diet
Shield.
Diet
It is Diet
Shield.
Shield.
As the director of Diet Shield, I feel like you can get away with that stuff though.
You can
Not-
get away with attempted murder. It's fine.
Exactly.
For regular crimes, yes, but for crimes where you're involved with the FBI, no.
Nick Fury was shooting people in Winter Soldier.
They were shooting him.
That's self-defense.
Okay, but Wanda was pointing the guns at them.
They pointed first.
D-
The
That
whole
was
I-
one of the
okay,
that is
I
one of the
guess.
flimsiest arguments when she's like, "I'm not the ones holding the guns, director." No, you're wrong. You're not wrong, Wanda. You're not holding a gun. You're just holding 3,000 people hostage.
And your whole body is a gun, basically.
That's
Yes.
another thing. Can we get into that where Monica's like, they won't know what you've sacrificed for them? Fuck you! You took a whole town hostage.
this show.
She didn't do it on purpose.
But once she realized
Okay, but-
she did, she didn't stop it.
It's the Homer Simpson. It's almost the Homer Simpson problem, except
Yep.
nobody ever forgives her.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Homer, as soon as he realized what he did wrong, he tries to stop it and fix it.
Right.
So
She's
she
chilling.
took a minute.
She took 3 episodes.
I feel like lines like that where they're like, "You'll never know what you sacrificed for them." It's the MCU trying to be like, "No, she's still a good guy," because the show definitely rides the line for a while. I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people who were like, "Is Wanda doing this?" And we all definitively agreed, not only people in this room, but other people I spoke with, that if like it turned out, oh, Agatha all along was the one who set up the hex and all this stuff, that would cheapen any emotional
Oh, yeah, I
punch
would've
because
liked the show.
we want it to be Wanda.
Mhm.
Because
If it turned out to be Agatha, I would have given the show a 0. I would
Yeah.
have hated it.
yeah, because that would then be them pulling the punch. It's like, yeah, you're making your bed of Wanda is the bad guy. Now
Yep.
sleep in it. You know, so
Also,
like when
like-
they hit you with those, oh, they'll never know what you sacrificed. They're trying to be like, oh, but Wanda's still sympathetic. It's like, no, let her fall.
I'm very sympathetic towards what she had to give up in grief and everything, but at the same time, she still did something wrong, and she even acknowledges it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing too. Like you could say like, oh, she didn't know about it, but she was there when the hex happened, and her grief brought on the hex. And you can very clearly see her look around while the hex is forming in the first place, and she's seeing Vision materialize from herself, and it's like, you know, you did this.
She chooses to go along with it.
You
Whether or
can
not she
choose-
set it up by
Yes.
accident, she chooses to allow it to
In,
continue.
in the moment of grief, I fully believe and understand that.
I understand
I'm
it,
okay
but at the
with-
same time,
yeah.
she's still liable, and she should still feel
Yeah.
that guilt.
Which is honestly why I was super happy with the fact that she leaves. Like, she doesn't turn herself in. She fucks off. She's like, this isn't worth my time anymore.
oh
Yep.
my god, all those villagers that were just regular, not mind controlled at the end, just watching her. It's like, I can so understand. Like, they spent weeks
Under
in
her-
that fucking trap.
They also make it clear that she doesn't let them sleep normally.
Mhm.
So, but they're still like humans with human needs, and the
Human
human body
needs.
needs sleep.
When you finally let us sleep in your nightmares. Oh my
And
God.
she doesn't let the kids out of the room. Like, that must be torture.
They
They're
all
probably
have,
not
like,
even
what,
moving.
families they gotta see.
All
What if,
these-
like,
All these kids are probably just laying in their beds. They've probably got like bed sores. They've probably like urinated on themselves.
I'll do you one better. What if
Fuck.
like one of their
Sheesh.
wife was like giving birth in another town, they were gonna leave, and they're like, oh fuck, I guess I'll stay here for 2 weeks.
They
on
did
accident.
that. They did that. That woman who's like, my husband's away on a business trip. Can you tell him never to come back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
This brings up another problem. Remember, I think it's the end of the Malcolm in the Middle episode where Vision's like looking at that town where everybody's frozen.
Mhm.
That's never really like talked about ever again. Why were they frozen?
Because she can only focus on like so many storylines at once.
Okay, but then you expand the hex, and then the circus was like alive and awake.
Well, I think that was her like unlocking more of her magic.
Maybe.
this
Maybe,
all-
but that
I think like the more she uses her power, the more she can control it. Because this show does do a good job of establishing that Wanda is basically an idiot savant with her powers, where she just has so much raw potential that her a complete and utter lack of training makes up for it.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. She's like, even now, like however many years after becoming a crime-fighting international superhero, she's still just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and she's basically just unloading her clip at everyone she sees. No tact, no nuance. She's just like, bam.
I mean, you could see that in prior movies, which I really, really like. When she's like diffusing the bomb,
Yeah.
and it blows up into that. I think it's in an apartment building or something.
Also,
Some sort
like-
of building.
In one of the movies, it's just really, really nice.
Yeah, I also realized like the last episode after that happened, it's like, okay, well, you're gonna kind of not retcon, but really overdevelop the Age of Ultron, her getting her powers, and it was a perfectly fine explanation anyway. And you're gonna say that she's like prophetically supposed to be this kind of amazing magic person that the Mind Stone brought her to. Okay, so how does Quicksilver get his powers?
She shields him.
I don't buy that at all. That's so
Why not?
stupid.
Why don't you buy that?
Well, A, the show didn't say that. You're making that assumption. B, that's really, really flimsy. What are you telling me that like in a split second, without even thinking about it, she gave her brother super speed as a shield, which isn't even a
Yeah.
shield?
Yeah.
You wouldn't make him indestructible as a shield. You wouldn't even put him in a bubble as a shield. You wouldn't put him somewhere else as a shield. You would give him super fucking speed. Like why?
Yeah, I guess
he
she
doesn't even
did.
fucking use it. He dies in super speed mode.
that's
the same film.
That's another thing. This show is Marvel does not know how to like utilize an episodic format.
No.
You have all this time that you could be using to explain stuff, and I guess you don't want the show to just be exposition, but like
But
you're
the
still
exposition's interesting when they
yeah,
actually do
you're
it.
not utilizing your time right. You have like 30-minute episodes, and like you're just I don't know. I have such a big problem with that.
I think
Yeah,
they tried too hard. The first few episodes of just like setup were great. It was funny, it was charming, it was new, it was unique.
Yeah,
Episode 3 is like, oh, what a cool twist. Episode 4, okay.
Exposition
it
dump.
feels like Marvel. And then episode 5, it feels like Marvel. Episode 6, it feels like Marvel. And I'm like, oh no, it's just coming back to like joke, quip, less action.
you say that, and you say that even though my favorite episode is probably episode 4.
Episode 4 starts the dip. It's not.
I wasn't a big fan of episode 4
I
because it's
like
just a
episode 4.
huge, massive expedition. That was the
Episode
beginning
4
of
is-
like
I
I was
like
getting too many answers like too soon.
I like every episode of the show, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, same.
But
Yeah.
after episodes 1, 2, and 3, it feels like Marvel made it.
See, I really appreciate.
And I know that's technically not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but I don't want more of the same Marvel thing.
Mhm.
It even did the thing at the end where it's like, oh, and then he has to fight the guy that's him but bad. And I'm like, I love the Vision fight because it's cool, it's interesting, it's visually pleasing. But it felt like Iron Man, Ironmonger, Iron Man Mandarin, Ant-Man, Ant-Man villain. Like, it felt like this fucking Yellow Jacket. Thank you. It felt like the same shit that I've seen 50 times.
I get that, I really do, but back to the episode 4 thing, I really, really did appreciate 4. I think it was my favorite at the time of the 4 episodes released, because the first 3 episodes, every single time, it's like, here's stuff that doesn't matter with an inkling of a thing that might matter, and then back to just jokes again.
Well, that's why I really, really like episode 3, because episode 3 had that reveal of
your brother was killed by
yeah.
Ultron.
Right, that was
That's
like
the
the
big
biggest thing
thing.
after that point. And it's like, hell yes, more of this, and then it's directed by Matt Shackman.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck me.
I just feel like episode 4 was a lot of information all at once.
I
And
feel
it felt like it feels like that whole like sequence with Darcy and Jimmy when they're just like going back through the first 3 episodes. It's like, oh, this is every scene that needs an answer, and I'm like, oh, we're already doing this on episode 4.
And I feel like, you know what, if Darcy and Jimmy had more in the next couple of episodes and they actually fucking mattered as opposed to what happened where they kind of just fuck
Darcy
off,
especially.
where they kind of just fuck off, I feel like maybe retroactively Forward seemed like it's more interesting because it sets up their stuff. But they go off after they get captured in, I think it was 5 or 6. And
Episode 6 is when they get captured,
yeah,
I think.
so they go off. Monica goes back in. They go off and do their own thing and never show up again. For
Darcy
the whole show.
gets sucked in.
Yep.
And then she loses.
She has that one office thing with Vision that's
It's
not-
so bad.
She's just there to explain stuff to
Yeah.
Vision, and then she disappears
and she
for the rest of
disappears.
the show.
She's a main like vessel that we see it through
Yep.
in the first half, and then she fucks off and gets no screen time.
Yeah,
And it's so frustrating
I'm
because I
such
really,
a-
really liked
I-
her character.
I love Darcy.
Yeah.
and that's episode 6. Is it episode 6 or episode 7? Which one's the Office parody?
I think that's
7.
Okay,
7.
worst episode of the show.
Really?
Really?
Yes. First of all, I can't stand that. I can't stand that style of comedy.
That's
the
fair.
like the fake.
I also don't like The Office.
Yeah, the fake documentary, whatever it's trying to go for. I couldn't care less. But the fact that Darcy, that's like the last we get of Darcy, really
Frustrating.
pisses me
Yeah.
off.
Also, like, I was kind of confused by that because it seemed like those cutaways, which in, like, the documentary fake style is supposed to happen, like, after the fact,
Yep.
those are happening real time? So
Yeah.
Vision and Darcy would teleport into the interview chairs and then teleport back out into the
Hilarious. I
Mhm.
thought that was so
It was
funny.
hilarious.
Why didn't
But I get what you mean.
why
It's
didn't Vision just fucking dip immediately? Why did he
That's
wait?
what we said.
Why did he wait for like the fucking
I-
stoplight?
He drove in the car instead of flying.
Exactly. Pick up Darcy, go the fuck home, and then talk on
Also,
the way.
not for nothing, but now looking back at that episode, I think it was episode 5 or 6 when Wanda and Vision have that fight, the verbal fight.
Episode
Eh,
5.
Episode 5, right. After that episode, looking back, there's no reason that Wanda shouldn't just be honest with him.
Right.
After
I'd
that,
also like to point out, after that,
They
Vision
barely
and Wanda
interact.
almost never
Yep.
interact.
I was just about to say that. They never interact.
They have a brief conversation in episode 6 where he's like, I'm going out, and then Wanda realizes that he lied to her, and then they don't reunite till episode 9 when they're like, let's defend this place, and then they just say goodbye.
Right.
Yep.
It's not fully satisfying
Oh,
for Vision.
speaking
Fake Vision,
of-
if you will.
Half of this show has stuff that I really, really like, and then the second half is like Marvel stuff, and it's like
This show is
Okay.
blindingly frustrating, but also so good.
Yep.
If you said it wasn't satisfying for Vision, I'll do you one better. How about Vision, who's like, literally, I'm Vision now.
White
and he
Vision who
fucks
just
off.
leaves. I mean, we already have talked ad nauseum.
Right, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about the context of this show. Wanda's not going to see him? That's literally your boyfriend back from the dead.
Exactly.
doesn't know.
But he could just be like, hey, Wanda, it's me in real life
no,
now.
but I'm just saying she doesn't even know.
But he does. I'm just saying, why don't they,
I get-
you know?
Yeah, it's.
Maybe he's trying to.
I know we sound like
Season
we're.
2, Jake. Season 2.
There's no
It's
season
not
2.
happening. It's
I know. I just want to say, I know we sound like we're dumping on this show, but we all really like
No,
it.
it's really
We
we're
did.
good.
dumping
all
on it
get
because
positive
we
reviews.
enjoy it and we want more.
We would not be this passionate if it wasn't this good of a show.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
know?
like, God, you're so good, but you also piss me off to no end.
I think most of our criticism boils down to setting up questions that will be answered in 10 more movies,
Yep.
as opposed to being answered in the
My-
It's kind of got the Age of Ultron problem.
Kind of, yeah. Which is funny because it's like a direct sequel almost.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is I would argue this is the most Wanda we've really gotten since Age of Ultron.
And
Like,
you know what? I love
Civil War, she's more of a
her
plot point.
character. I love Wanda.
oh my God, yeah. This like watching this show, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we've gotten like nothing from her in these movies.
Yeah.
you
I
know?
love Wanda and I love Vision.
I love Vision.
Vision,
Oh, I love Vision
dude,
so
Paul
much.
Bettany is great.
First of all, I
Okay.
love Jarvis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Jarvis.
I
So getting more Paul Bettany in general is just so good.
My
Yeah.
favorite thing is how when the first Iron Man movie came out, Paul Bettany had no idea what it was, and he just did the role as a favor to Jon Favreau.
Yeah, I heard.
And now he's literally an Avenger.
Yeah,
17
like
times.
literally, Jon Favreau was just like, hey, I need like a British voice actor for like an AI butler role. Can you do that? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just give me the lines. And he's like, I don't know what this is about, but sure.
All right, now I do want to get into this because we've really dumped on it. What do we like about it besides
Paul
everything?
Bettany.
Yep.
I think Paul Bettany is the strongest part of this whole show.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
absolutely.
is phenomenal.
Elizabeth Olsen is
Also
okay.
great.
No, she's great.
She's
also
okay.
great.
There's some really powerful moments with her.
I would argue the best acting in the whole show and writing. I don't know about if it's the best writing, but like some of the best writing and the best acting is in episode, I think it was 5 when they were having the verbal fight. And
Oh my
she's like, you don't have to go out there. And he says something to the effect of, you don't have to make the decision for me.
You don't get to make that decision for me.
Yep.
That whole sequence as Vision's anger just builds and builds. First of all, he's a robot, so he's never emoted up to this point.
Yeah.
But this, you really see him start to break down emotionally.
Mhm.
And that's so fascinating and fucking
And then he
great.
turns to fear. He's like, I don't understand what's going on. But there's a line right before that where his rage builds and he lifts up off the floor. He's like, stop lying to me. And he
Yes.
lifts up.
Yep.
That was the moment where I was like, oh, holy shit. This is going
Insane.
somewhere.
Yep.
I felt like this was really the first time the wacky hijinks in the world of the show had stopped. Like we'd seen it with like Wanda breaking face with Monica, but we hadn't seen her break face with anyone else yet. And something else I really liked about this show, the beautiful twist of like surreal comedy and dark horror. Like in the pilot, when like Kitty from That 70s Show keeps like chuckling and telling her husband to stop, like he's like telling a joke, but he's choking on the floor.
Yep.
And the lighting ever so subtly changes.
Yep.
And it's so simple that I didn't even catch it on the first time, but the second time I watched it, I'm like, this is more like Twilight Zone, like mood lighting, to give off that twinge of something's wrong. In the third episode, when she's like, oh, Geraldine had to head home, or in that episode that you were talking about, Jake, where they had the big fight, Wanda plays the credits and like the audience is laughing and cheering and you hear Vision screaming at her. It's like there was such beautiful juxtaposition between like the tropes of a sitcom and the horror drama that they were making.
Yes, the
There's
balancing
so
of the
many
tones. The balancing of the tones of the wacky sitcom comedy into the dark, more like surrealist, crazy, just straight up dark elements of the show where everything's like really dreary and depressing and she's basically flat out depressed and Vision is quasi not real, definitely not real.
Definitely not real.
And then Monica's just very confused and or trapped and or transformed into like Photon, basically.
Yep.
I mean, the way they balanced all of that with the tonal shifts between superhero movie, horror premise, really funny hijinks all together, that was so fucking cool. I think it's maybe some of the best tonal shifts in media.
That's also something that kind of went away towards the end of the show.
I was just about to say, that's what I really, really liked about the first couple of episodes and in this the last episode of the show is they had those like horrific like, Mom, I'm disintegrating, help me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or Vision philosophy where it's like, all right, here's this thing. Do you fucking exist if they replace
The
all
ship
of
of
you?
Theseus conversation.
That shit's
great.
terrifying
so
to think
good.
about from a meta-philosophical point. I think the first 4-ish episodes and the last episode are great, and then 5, 6, 7,
seven,
and 8
it definitely.
There's
okay.
not to say they're bad. There's definitely a dip in quality though. Because like 5, 6, 7, and 8 kind of run together as like their own like one long story that just keeps kind of like teasing you with a climax.
Yeah, I guess
it's edging you.
I guess I just didn't like it when they were combining the world style with like the hex parody and then like the outside influence. I guess I just didn't really care for that. I'd rather have one or another. I would have rather had the episodes swap off.
That's fair.
I think after a certain point,
You would kind of need that.
after a certain
guess,
point, I
but-
definitely think you need to be able to bounce back and forth. But I get what you're saying. Like after episode 4, I would have liked if maybe 5 and 6 took place purely within the hex,
Right.
and then in 7 we start to see the swap off for like the final 3 episodes. I get what you're saying there. I will say though, this show doesn't pull a lot of its punches, which I feel is not something the MCU does often.
Yeah.
Like Wanda's the bad guy.
Yes, but she's not the baddest of the guys. Like Agnes is very clearly evil, and Wanda becomes like the protagonist by the end. Like,
yeah,
the
it's a
hero of the
fighter,
story.
but like Wanda's still torturing all these people.
I feel
It's
like
two villains facing off.
That's something the show, like, yes, Agnes mentions it in passing comments. Hayward mentions it in passing comments, but the show doesn't really get into that fact. I feel like
disagree. There's that scene in the final episode where they all confront her.
wait, one scene. They got a townspeople worth of fucking people in there that have been living their lives solidarity, like cut off from their families, cut off from the outside world, and you get basically this one really big sequence where like, oh hey, you know, I would like to get out of here, please, and she's like, okay, and then she lets them out.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But at first she's like, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're
Yeah,
all
okay,
fine.
Again, really good scene. Could have used more of it in 9 episodes though. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, like, there's, you know, hints of it, like when Vision releases that one guy and he starts panicking. I would have liked more of that sprinkled throughout.
I really have trouble sympathizing with Wanda.
See, but I like that because
she does that.
She's the villain. That's what I'm saying. Is I like that she is definitively the bad guy.
And I wish they made her the villain.
She is the villain.
Agnes is clearly the villain.
No,
of the
she's
show.
not. Agnes doesn't really do
She tried
any
to
of the torture.
suck and drain her power and went ha 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 ha.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
villain
that's
to
because
Wanda.
you have to have
But
the
Wanda's
Marvel fight where you fight
That's
the
what
guy.
that's my point. I don't want the Marvel fight again. I want Wanda to like either have a redemption arc or lean in. I don't want her to
I'd
teeter-totter.
argue she does lean in when she decides to go on the run.
She, not really, because once Agnes says, haha, I'm gonna drain you, Wanda goes, I guess I better be an Avenger. I'm gonna let everyone out. I'm gonna fight you.
Well,
It's
she's
like,
killing
wow.
this person who's trying to kill her.
Not exactly.
Yes, exactly. If she drains all of Wanda's powers, Wanda will
My
die.
point is that her inclusion is very similar to Baron Zemo in Civil War, where you didn't need him. You could have just had them do it, but you needed to add its other antagonists to make them look less evil.
I will say that it did feel a lot like that. It did feel like, because if it was just unrelated, Bucky gets turned on by somebody, and then that person fucks off.
Yeah.
And you have the Cap and Iron Man trying to figure it out. The whole fight at the end means more.
Right.
Without.
In the same sense, the story
More.
potential is there
Yeah.
to have Civil War not have Zemo. In the same sense, I would say the story potential is there to have WandaVision not have an Agnes type character.
I would argue that Wanda has never truly. She's a very gray character. She's never truly been a hero.
Yeah.
She tries to be.
Tries because people force it upon her.
Well, that and
Basically.
she doesn't want to be evil anymore. That's the thing. She already did that with the counterinsurgents thing
Yeah.
in Sokovia.
It doesn't feel like she really is grappling with the fact that she took an entire town hostage. She just like Agnes unmind controls them, and then when Wanda's like, "Oh shit, my shit's worn off. I guess I better save face and let them leave." Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like I'm like, "Oh my god, I took this town fucking hostage." She never has that moment, you know?
I think
I'll
you
grant
can see
you
it on her
that.
face when she chokes them and panics.
Visually in one scene, sure, but she choked them. That's a little different. You know, that's not the same as taking them hostage for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely more than 2 weeks.
Definitely more than 2 weeks. Well, 11 days after is when it starts, and I don't know how many days have passed over the course of the show. So about 2 weeks?
At least 2 weeks.
Maybe 3. Hard to say. But
Maybe
it's
a month.
shortly after Endgame, and Far From Home is
Months
8 months
after
after
Endgame.
Endgame, which is weird because in Far From Home, Vision is listed as dead. So White Vision.
So maybe
They
they
just
don't know
don't
where White
know
Vision
about
went,
it.
so he's
Fucked
probably
off.
Or
Yeah,
they
I-
just didn't plan it.
No, I'm guessing that White Vision's not gonna like go back and be like, "Hello, everyone, I'm back," because he fucks off.
Mhm.
I think he's going somewhere to figure himself out, and he's going into hiding.
And again, more importantly, well, maybe more importantly, but it's quasi importantly, Vision's living will. He doesn't want to be reactivated. He doesn't want to use his weapon. I would say that White Vision, if he's honoring original Vision, would probably want to power down and shut himself off. Because that's what Vision would want.
You're already alive.
Yeah,
you know?
but, you know, what is
Vision's
alive?
All right,
like,
next-
Vision's like, if somebody else kills me, don't
Yeah,
bring me back.
yeah,
but I'm no
next
pussy.
Next time, don't do it.
Next time
I'll let it slide this time. But
Fool me once.
Shame.
Full Vision. First of all, full Vision like 20 times.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, use your electric arrows or
we
whatever.
talked about this in our "How would you use the Infinity Stones"
We have.
video.
Vision is very easily tricked
Yeah.
in every single incarnation.
Are you familiar with the when Deadass in this finale when they were like, "Are you familiar with the ship of Theseus?" I was like, "Are they gonna do the thing where they give a computer a paradox and it kills itself? Because that would be the dumbest."
No, but the paradox did in fact save Vision from Vision.
The fact that I said that and then it happened, I was like, yeah!
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, this show was overall very satisfying, and if you're a fan of Marvel, you should definitely watch it. It definitely has some cracks in its foundation, but
Yeah.
it stands at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I think that's how I'd summarize it.
I would overall say the show's really good. I wasn't super interested. I only saw like the first 2 seconds of the trailer or some shit, and I was like, this is whatever. Like, I didn't even watch the full trailer. When Quicksilver showed up, I went, "Ah!" I was so excited.
Yeah.
Like, that shit was awesome.
I don't think the show ever reached the same
No, it didn't.
high of that moment.
Like,
Yeah.
after...
I would say Vision fighting Vision is interesting, but it's not like this amazing.
It's cool.
No,
It
it's
was a cool
fun
moment.
as fuck, though.
It was fun.
It's
Yes.
true.
But like
But the thing about that scene that makes me happy isn't the Vision fight, even though it was a Vision fight. It was the metaphilosophical thing
Yep.
that he had with
the
him.
ship
Yeah.
of Theseus is such a great conversation because I don't know about you guys, but I knew about the ship of Theseus,
Same.
the
Yes,
paradox.
of course.
So I really like that
Naturally.
part where are you familiar with the ship of Theseus? Naturally. Such a great line, by the way.
It's him. Why would himself not know what he knows?
But just the way that they kind of talk and like that moment where White Vision just goes, neither is the ship of Theseus, and then he pauses and he thinks and he goes, both the ship of Theseus, and it kind of establishes this realm that these visions live in. It's like neither of us are truly Vision, but
We're not Vision, but we're not Vision.
yeah, exactly.
They
We're
both
derivative.
have aspects of him.
Wrapping up, do we want to do an out of 10 for the show?
I do. I want to do
Yeah.
an overall out of 10 rating. I'm gonna go with 8. I think it's a really solid. I'm gonna count it as an MCU, like
It's
almost a movie basically.
MCU product.
I have to do product from the MCU. I'm gonna count it as an 8. I think it's awesome, and I'm really excited for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange too.
I'm also feeling an 8. It's a solid piece to the MCU, and after over a year of no MCU content, or almost, is it over a year? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
is
think
over a
it
year.
was
Over a
over
year,
a year.
easily. Yep.
Over a year and a half without MCU. I'm glad this was the first thing they came back with.
That's true too. We're starved for MCU content.
Yeah,
I'm thinking similarly with the 8, but for slightly different reasons. I think the first 4, maybe even 5 episodes, because the Quicksilver reel slapped, and episode 9 are almost 10s. Like, they're phenomenal.
yeah.
Episode 9 I have more problems with, but in a term of fun, it's higher up there
It
on the
delivers.
scale. But then, like 6, 7, and 8, and the problems that I have with 9 really, really bring the show down for me. There's almost half the episodes aren't what I want,
Mm.
or aren't what were delivered to me earlier on in the show.
right.
I had a lot of issues, especially with a 9-episode thing. I don't think you can have 4 episodes not be great. Like, I think
half.
every episode needs to be great.
Yeah.
And 6, 7, especially 7, where I thought it was going to be the Agatha thing. I was like, if it turns out that Agatha is the one doing all this and corrupting her, I am straight up not liking the show anymore.
Well, the good news is she wasn't.
Good.
But we
she was
all
the
were
devil on
worried
the
about
shoulder,
that
though.
because MCU likes to pull their punches. Again,
Yes.
Captain America: Civil War.
And
Yep.
like I was saying, like she did, well, obviously wasn't the one who made the hex, but like she was the devil on the shoulder, egging Wanda on to a lot of things and trying to learn from her. And it's classic MCU tradition, just like Civil War. So that was kind of my problem with her.
Mhm.
Even though I did end up liking a lot of the stuff that she did and establishing this world as a world with witches that are separate from sorcerers, which is all the same kind of realm of magic, but different.
They all like use the same basic laws of magic, but they're
Mhm.
different schools.
That's
Yep.
that's interesting to contextualize when
Yeah.
she mentions like Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, oh yeah, there's like clans of magic users that
Yeah.
are different from
Yes.
these sections
I
of
And
magic
just-
users.
when
I
she
s-
says you're more powerful than Sorcerer Supreme, like, that's a fucking bold claim. That means something.
I also just chuckle at the fact that this show just establishes she's just an idiot savant of magic. She
Yep.
has no training but so much power that it doesn't matter.
Also,
awesome.
I'd probably concede that she's more powerful than Sorcerer Supreme if he doesn't have the Time Stone, but there's no way he can lose if he has the
Yeah, but
Time
Time Stone's a get out of jail free card.
Stone. It basically is. That's yeah.
So I am also going to say 8 because of the stuff that I really, really liked is really, really strong. And even the stuff that I don't like, there are good bits surrounding it.
Mm-hmm.
JOAQUIN.
I hate to be the detractor, but I'm
4.
no. It's not a 4. I'm leaning more towards a 7.
That's fair.
Because the
Oh no, 1 point off.
yeah, the lows for me are just like some of them are just kind of unforgivable, and I just don't really.
What would be your lowest low?
Episode 7. I just can't.
The Force Awakens, yeah.
Everything about episode.
It's so derivative of episode 4.
How dare they?
That's funny, Mud.
No, but the lows are kind of too low for me to rate it anything higher.
Episode 7's definitely the best example of like, give me something, give me
Yes,
that holy
please,
shit factor. And
please.
it never comes.
Why do you need filler in this?
Especially for a 9-episode
Exactly.
show.
As we enter what would be the 3rd act, why are you hitting me with filler?
Right.
Yep.
That's my biggest
Yeah.
problem with it.
I get that. I mean, it's only 1 point off, but we've definitely established on this show that 1 point can mean like just the slightest disagreement or like an 18-mile gap.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Mud and I have gone off between like I'll apparently
Doctor
like.
Sleep was the biggest thing.
Doctor Sleep is our
Yeah,
best
right.
example.
I championed that movie as really good. You guys were not so
We
hot on it.
dogpiled it.
Dogpiled it, and I gave it an 8, and you guys gave it a 7.
No, you gave it a 7. We gave it a 6.
Sorry, 7 and a 6. And it's
Yeah.
like, wow, we did all that back.
We
and
did all
forth.
that arguing, and we're only we all it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
We all just conceded it's a fine movie.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
So yeah, this has been WandaVision. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Zero guarantee we'll do this for Falcon and the Winter Soldier or any of the MCU shows going on. We just felt like this show had a lot in it.
I'll be
and
watching
there was a
everything
lot to
day
talk
one.
about.
I want to watch this
I
shit
will
day one.
probably binge Falcon and Winter Soldier once it's all out, but I'm not gonna be as like watching week to week, or I'm not gonna feel as compelled. I'll probably watch the pilot, and based on how I feel about that, decide if I'm gonna watch.
The
week to week.
reason we showed Ian WandaVision up to that point was because Quicksilver was in it at the episode 5.
and we didn't
mark.
want it to get spoiled.
We
for him.
didn't. Yeah, we had to show him. So
I,
if like Green Lantern shows up in Falcon Winter Soldier, we gotta watch the whole thing immediately.
Yeah.
The
so.
thing for me is I'm not a big TV guy. I really don't watch a lot of shows. In
Same.
fact, if you ask me what my favorite television show is, I can't tell you because I only watch background sitcoms.
Fair enough.
Like, I've rewatched Jimmy Neutron semi-recently. It's almost been a year now.
I have been very recently just bebopping around episodes of American Dad.
King of the Hill. I've been watching a lot of King of the
Ooh,
Hill.
King of the Hill's great.
Shark Tank is my thing.
Currently going through House.
Nice.
Like, he's the dad of Stuart Little.
That's true. That's true. Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
That's a.
I know what you meant. He's House.
No.
I
I was
just-
gonna say if I ever do a dealer's choice, I might do Stuart Little.
I thought you were gonna say the entirety of House. We spent like a week watching.
Yes.
Just as long as if you ever do a dealer's choice, no Garfield.
I'm picking Garfield.
No promises.
There's just so much in this show that really, really works. And with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I am not excited at all.
I'm also not really
Because
excited.
I really, like, both of them are just Captain America side characters
Yeah,
that
I-
aren't super interesting.
That's why. Okay, so I have the equal amount of excitement for that as I did for WandaVision because they're just side characters.
No,
And
I would say Wanda and Vision were definitely more interesting characters even back then.
Like, I
not-
feel like I
Before
understand
this.
Falcon pretty well.
Yeah.
He runs on your left.
Uh-huh.
Like,
After Winter
he has
Soldier,
wings.
after Winter Soldier, I'm like, I pretty much get him.
That would
Right.
be
And
like
Bucky, we get all of Bucky's exposition in a whole
Civil War.
Civil War movie.
Yeah. It's like
Right, but I would say Civil War is what made me so interested in Bucky. That and Winter Soldier, I'd say. I think that character, not so much Falcon, I don't really care much about Falcon, but the Winter Soldier, I would watch what he does, like, in his life.
I think I'd rather watch a roadie show than.
they are
Yes.
making that Armor Wars.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's
yeah.
the one show where I'm like, okay, I'd watch that just because Rhodey's been in it technically since movie 1, and he's
Yes.
always been the most background of background
A
characters.
form of roadie.
Rhodey's a much more interesting character, especially after the death of Iron Man, because we don't know how that's hitting him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's way more interesting.
Did he was just at the funeral standing, that's it?
Yeah. Well, he was
barely
like
in
one of the
fucking-
people up front.
Right,
Yes,
fair,
yes.
fair, but like, yeah,
So,
we
like,
never...
He
Imagine-
also was with Iron Man when he died.
Imagine that
He was
burden
actually the
on
first one
him.
to find him.
Imagine that burden on him.
Yeah.
And, like, how he deals
they're
with that
calling-
and what he's doing with that. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be way more interesting.
Also, with them being like, oh, the world's looking for the next Iron Man. I want to see how that feels to the guy
who's
who
basically
also
Iron Man.
uses an Iron Man.
I'll do
suit.
you one better. How does he feel about the guy dying who gave him his legs back after he literally got
after
paralyzed?
being the guy who kind of
Yeah, but he was kind of he's the
It
kind
was
of the guy
Stark
that
Tech and
or
Stark
just
himself.
in general, how does Rhodey deal with being a paraplegic?
Yeah, him just in a wheelchair
Like,
the whole
there's
time.
one line in Endgame where like Nebula's like, I wasn't always like this, and Rhodey's like, neither was I, and it's like,
Yeah, that was
oh my
super
god,
interesting.
character development
That
for
was
Rhodey.
so
Come on,
interesting.
get more.
That's it, that's
Oh,
it, that's
It's
it.
over. Oh,
Oh.
damn it.
Especially with how talented Don Cheadle is.
They
He's
do
so
not use enough Don. Like, you have Don Cheadle as one of your main heroes, and he just doesn't get to do anything.
Oh man,
Yeah.
can't wait
Anyways.
for Space Jam 2.
Oh,
Oh,
dude, he's gonna be in
same.
it.
Yeah, he is.
I saw that preview. I was like, is that Don Cheadle?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's WandaVision,
Yes, it is.
and
That's
we'll
WandaVision.
see you in the next one
We'll
for
see you
whatever we
next
end up
time.
reviewing.
Watch Potatocast, please.
Oh yeah, and go check out Potatocast with JOAQUIN.
Yes.
Yes. JOAQUIN's fantastic. We love having him on.
Yay.
He brings such interesting, slightly new takes. We're all very agreeable
Yeah.
most of the time.
I think we should bring Joe Quinn on an episode of Dealer's Choice. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Months from now,
I
like
just
many
worry.
months from now.
I just worry that if we have JOAQUIN around too much, he'll start to assimilate to our opinions, like we're the movie Borg, the movie version of the Borg,
I
not
don't know,
the
like-
movie Borg.
I
There's
don't
no
know,
movie
Coalesce
guys.
Borg.
together like some kind of monster.
My Sonic opinion's probably gonna stay the same, no matter what you guys
I'm
say.
sorry.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
10 out of 10.
All right.
We'll work on it. We'll
He
work on it.
flossed.
So yeah, like Jake said, look out for our Suicide Squad review this week from the DCEU-thon.
We finna do this shit like this. It's like
He's mugging him in an alley in front of his daughter.
Yeah, what the
Classic
fuck,
Batman.
I don't get this.
it's over, Deadshot.
Brand him in the face.
Yeah, Batman's kind of immune to guns in this timeline.
Batman's like, oh, you ran a red light. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I'm immune to bullets, bitch. It's fine. The fist of justice is unisex. She's dead. He fights Superman with those fists.
Pussy.
I will knock your ass out. I do not care that you're a girl.
How did the Batman?
Lying ass niggas in your punk